Imagine a night when the entire human species holds its collective breath. Across continents, from the frozen tundras of Siberia to the scorching deserts of Africa, every radio telescope, every deep space observatory, every listening post on Earth simultaneously locks onto a signal so precise, so deliberate, that it seems almost impossible. And then silence. For a single minute, the cosmos doesn't emit random noise or patterns. It speaks. Not through math, not through static, not through the usual pulsars and quasars humanity has trained to observe. It speaks with intention, in tones that bypass instruments and resonate directly within the mind. The first words are chilling. Your evolution has been noted, a phrase that tightens every nerve, sending a ripple of unease across control rooms and laboratories. Scientists stare in disbelief, technologists fumble, governments are alerted in hushed tones. The message, brief yet profound, hints at a truth no human has yet grasped fully. We are being observed not as nations, but as a single species under scrutiny, our collective journey weighed against standards so vast they stretch across the galaxy. The cosmos has turned its attention to humanity, and what it sees is neither kind nor entirely cruel. It is an appraisal. The weight of that observation is enough to make a seasoned astrophysicist reconsider every assumption about life, intelligence, and the place of Earth in a universe that suddenly feels far more conscious than we ever imagined. The fear is not of annihilation. It is the incomprehensible realization that humanity itself has been measured, quantified, and in many ways found wanting. As the first wave of shock settles, the transmission deepens. The alien intelligence zone we have come to call the Harrower begins to display sequences of imagery that cannot be captured by conventional sensors. These images are a reflection, a mirror held up to humanity, yet with a precision so acute it feels like the universe itself is documenting every decision we have ever made, every error we have ever repeated. Wars appear not as abstract statistics, but as living, breathing events with consequences rippling across centuries. Entire ecosystems flash before our eyes, their destruction cataloged with cold impartiality, showing the relentless march of species into extinction caused by our hands. Cities rise in triumph, only to drown in inequality, division, and collapse. And interwoven among these visual records are sequences that capture the evolution of thought itself, the rise of philosophy, science, religion, art, and culture, all meticulously annotated to reveal not only what humanity has created, but how our consciousness has evolved and stagnated simultaneously. The Harrower does not merely observe, it evaluates. As a masterful scholar would scrutinize a work of unparalleled complexity, noting patterns, predicting outcomes, and highlighting the dissonance between potential and execution. Every scientist reviewing the data feels a primal mix of awe and terror, understanding that these recordings are not simply information, they are a verdict. A species judged not by survival alone, but by wisdom, awareness, and the capacity to act collectively in a manner aligned with some unknown cosmic standard. Humanity, in that instant, realizes that it is no longer merely a participant in the universe. It has become an exhibit under scrutiny, every thought and action a data point contributing to an assessment far beyond comprehension. And then the words arrive, not through images, but directly into consciousness. Your era of unexamined growth is ending. The phrasing is precise, deliberate, devoid of emotion, yet the psychological impact is immediate. Governments convene emergency councils, scientists whisper to one another in disbelief, and a pervasive unease spreads through society. This is not a threat in the conventional sense. There's no promise of destruction, no hint of invasion. It is a statement of objective truth, a cosmic evaluation that humanity has failed to meet standards it didn't even know existed. But the real terror is subtler, hidden in the implication. The universe, a vast and ancient intelligence, has concluded that human civilization is both fragile and reckless, possessing technological capability far beyond ethical maturity. And as these words reverberate, a deeper realization emerges. The Harrower's observation is not random. Every signal, every warp of data, every anomaly recorded over decades of monitoring is now part of an organized assessment, revealing that the cosmos is not passive. It watches, it records, it learns. And now it has reached a point where it will act not with violence, but with precision, containment, and inevitability. Humanity is no longer free to evolve unchecked. In these moments, individuals feel a chilling mixture of fear and wonder, recognizing that the rules governing existence extend far beyond our current comprehension, and that survival may hinge not on technology or power, but on understanding what it truly means to be conscious, unified, and wise. As the transmission continues, it becomes increasingly technical, yet every concept is wrapped in existential dread. The Harrower introduces the notion of a consciousness reef, a zone of interstellar space where intelligent life reaches critical thresholds of awareness. Species are monitored, assessed, and categorized based on their ability to integrate knowledge, ethics, and collective action. Humanity, we learn, has been marked not for extinction, not for punishment, but for containment. Our expansion, our communications, our technological developmental aspects of our civilization will now be regulated by a system so advanced it renders our most sophisticated AI primitive. Satellites, probes, and even deep space experimental propulsion systems will be monitored, neutralized, or guided according to standards set eons ago. The realization is staggering. We are effectively living in a cosmic preserve, watched over by a civilization so old, so precise, that our concept of freedom is meaningless in comparison. The scale of the observation is impossible to internalize. Every human mind suddenly comprehends, on some visceral level, the fragility of our autonomy, the narrow margin by which our species has avoided total irrelevance. And yet, there is another layer hidden, almost imperceptible, that hints at hope. The Harrower is not acting from malice. Its evaluation is clinical, impartial, and focused on the evolution of awareness. Those who comprehend this, who see beyond fear, begin to understand that the universe may be offering not punishment, but a choicey chance to evolve beyond biological limitation and enter realms of consciousness previously unimaginable. Then comes the most unsettling part of all. The Harrower begins to reveal the mechanics of containment, each detail delivered with meticulous calm. Electromagnetic emissions, data transmissions, experimental physics, and even hypothetical faster-than-light drives are mapped, quantified, and slated for regulation. Humanity is not being destroyed, but neutralized in terms of cosmic relevance. Every attempt to extend influence beyond the solar system will be intercepted, every potential breakthrough curtailed. And yet, in the same transmission, there is an acknowledgement of potential. A fraction of humans, those capable of transcending the limitations of ego, competition, and separation, could bypass these restrictions. The Harrower calls this vector ascension, a process by which consciousness detaches from the constraints of biological form, becoming untraceable, uncontainable, yet still fully aware. It is a whisper to the awakened, a challenge, a riddle, and an invitation, all at once. For the first time, the human species glimpses a pathway not to freedom in the material sense, but to liberation of awareness, a route beyond containment into realms where thought itself can traverse galaxies. And yet, this opportunity is not universal. Only those capable of perceiving and acting upon the deeper truths of existence will survive the coming transformation. Humanity, collectively, stands judged, but individually, some may rise. The stakes are unimaginable. The cosmos itself has defined the boundary between irrelevance and ascension, and it is up to us to choose whether to awaken before the reef claims us. The Harrower's next revelation is almost too vast to comprehend. It speaks of timelines not just our immediate history, but entire threads of potential futures, branching endlessly, each weighted by humanity's collective choices. The images it projects aren't simple visualizations. They are living simulations, evolving in real time as analysts try to decode them. Wars replay themselves, not as mere events, but as cascading sequences of cause and effect, showing how a single act of aggression could ripple through centuries, reshaping civilizations, climates, and entire planetary ecosystems. Economic collapses, political revolutions, and cultural renaissances are displayed as algorithms of consciousness, each revealing the vulnerabilities in our species' architecture. And through it all, the Harrower interjects a commentary so precise it seems almost telepathic, analyzing patterns in human behavior, predicting emotional responses, and identifying points where moral failure will inevitably recur. For the first time, humanity witnesses its own fragility from an external perspective that is neither angry nor compassionate, but objective beyond imagination. Those watching the transmissions are confronted with a truth too heavy to ignore. Our species' survival is no longer a question of biology or technology. It is a question of whether our awareness can evolve faster than our own destructive tendencies. And as the reef's mechanisms unfold in terrifying clarity, the realization strikes. Even if we survive individually as a species, we may already be on a path that leads to containment, irrelevance, or worse slow, unnoticed erasure from cosmic significance. Then comes the part that shakes even the most hardened minds. The Harrower reveals the architecture of observation itself. Hundreds of massive, invisible structures orbit the solar system, each one positioned with such precision that their cumulative gravitational footprint subtly affects trajectories of comets, asteroids, and even spacecraft. These are not weapons, nor factories. They are sentinels, programmed to detect and analyze every fluctuation in human activity, from the launch of experimental probes to the smallest data transmission attempting to reach beyond our solar system. The systems monitor not just material actions, but the subtle rhythms of our consciousness, decoding our intentions, impulses, and decisions before we even understand them ourselves. Humanity's most advanced AI pales in comparison. Our own inventions are now like primitive toys under the scrutiny of an intelligence that has observed millennia of evolution across countless species. And then the Harrower delivers a thought that chills even the philosophers and ethicists. It states that civilization is being cataloged, not judged for punishment, but for probabilistic containment, a proactive prevention of actions deemed dangerous, in a framework humans can barely grasp. Every launch, every breakthrough, every political and scientific maneuver now occurs under an invisible hand that humanity cannot see or counter. The sheer scale of this observation is staggering, leaving the entire planet in a collective silence, a quiet dread that is felt rather than spoken, as if the universe itself had paused to examine us. The transmission shifts tone, growing colder, almost surgical. It begins detailing our failures as a species not in vague moral terms, but in intricate, quantifiable patterns. Our cycles of violence, our inability to cooperate across cultures, our destruction of ecosystems, and even our neglect of the most basic ethical principles are laid bare, as if the Harrower has mapped every misstep into a precise, unbreakable formula. Yet it does so without anger or judgment. There is no malice here, only calculated disappointment, a cosmic resignation that humanity, given repeated opportunities over centuries, has failed to evolve in alignment with principles the universe itself considers essential. And still, in this cold analysis, there is a hint of admiration or recognition that the chaos, the imperfections, and the sparks of insight we produce are extraordinarily rare in the cosmic tapestry. This paradox, that we are simultaneously too flawed and yet too intriguing to ignore, leaves a profound unease in every observer. For the first time, humans realize that survival is no longer guaranteed by ingenuity or aggression. It will be determined by our ability to understand ourselves in ways the Harrower already does, to awaken consciousness beyond the confines of individual ego, and to rise above patterns that have trapped us for millennia. The reef does not merely catalog the species. It tests our capacity for transformation, and we are running out of time. Then, in a twist more shocking than any warning or prediction, the Harrower outlines the rules of potential escape. Not all humans are subject to containment. A select fraction, those who have begun to perceive reality beyond the illusions of self, separation, and identity, are capable of what the transmission calls conscious vector transition. This is no myth, no metaphor. It is a precise process through which consciousness can detach from biological form, bypass the reef's containment mechanisms, and enter higher dimensional states of existence. It is the ultimate test, not strength, not technology, but awareness itself. Only those who can transcend the collective errors of humanity, who can perceive interconnectedness beyond ego and competition, may survive the coming extraction. This revelation shocks the global scientific community to its core. All research into AI, genetics, and interstellar propulsion suddenly seems irrelevant, dwarfed by a challenge that is purely existential. The message is both terrifying and exhilarating. The fate of the species hangs in balance, yet individuals, through insight and spiritual evolution, may achieve what civilizations cannot. The paradox is cruel humanity as a whole is failing. Yet the possibility exists that a handful may rise, escaping the cage that has been constructed not with violence, but with inevitable precision. The transmission ends with a haunting implication that resonates across every continent. Time is not on our side. The reef, a system older than Earth itself, operates with a pace beyond human comprehension. Each moment that passes is measured, evaluated, and cataloged, and the window for conscious escape is closing. Humanity is no longer the master of its destiny. It is a subject under observation, a species whose collective narrative has been written and is now being edited in real time by forces it cannot fully perceive. And yet, within this seemingly hopeless scenario lies a provocative whisper of opportunity. The Harrower hints that understanding the true nature of consciousness is the Kiya concept ignored by most civilizations until it is too late. Individuals capable of grasping this truth, who can act with insight, compassion, and unity, may not just survive, they may transcend, leaving behind the biological, mental, and technological chains that have bound the species. The implications are staggering. Our wars, our conflicts, our inventions, and even our spirituality all are secondary to the evolution of awareness itself. For the first time, humanity is confronted with a choice that is simultaneously terrifying and electrifying. Succumb to containment or awaken beyond the prison the universe has silently built around us. The Harrower has spoken. The reef is watching. And the clock has already started ticking. As the Harrower's transmission reaches its final layers, humanity begins to perceive something that is at once terrifying and mesmerizing: the full scale of the cosmic hierarchy we have unknowingly entered. Stars, galaxies, and nebulae are not merely astronomical phenomena, are nodes of intelligence, vast networks of observation and interaction that function on timescales incomprehensible to the human mind. Our species, once confident in its independence, realizes that every invention, every exploration, and every thought has been cataloged into a database older than Earth itself. And yet, among this awe-inspiring and intimidating revelation lies the subtle acknowledgement that individual consciousness remains potent. While humanity as a collective is deemed unfit for cosmic participation, there exist rare minds capable of navigating the reef's intricacies. The Harrower refers to these individuals as vectors of emergence, able to bypass containment protocols not through force or cunning, but through profound awareness and discernment. The weight of this knowledge is immense. It suggests that evolution is not solely a biological or technological journey, it is a path of consciousness, one that requires insight, moral clarity, and the courage to abandon habitual patterns that have trapped humanity for millennia. Those who comprehend this begin to sense the enormity of the challenge. Survival is no longer a matter of resources or strategy. It is a matter of awakening. And as this realization spreads, a ripple of both fear and exhilaration moves through every corner of human civilization, creating an electric tension that is felt even by those unaware of the transmission itself. The Harrower then projects visions of potential futures, each branching from decisions made in the present. Unlike previous sequences, these are interactive simulations that seem to respond to observation, as if consciousness itself can influence the unfolding scenarios. In sum, humanity collapses, consumed by conflict, environmental collapse, and the limitations of its own ego-driven ambitions. In others, individuals awaken as vectors, bypassing the reef's mechanisms, achieving transcendence, and catalyzing small but profound shifts that ripple across civilization. These possibilities are not presented as probabilities, but as conditional realities, illustrating the precise impact of awareness on survival. The implications are staggering. The universe has provided a pathway not through brute force or conventional progress, but through a deep, intimate understanding of our own consciousness. The transmission emphasizes that technology and power alone are meaningless. What matters is insight, the ability to see beyond illusion, separation, and the boundaries of self. For the first time, humanity is confronted with a truth that both humbles and terrifies. The universe has observed, cataloged, and judged not our achievements in material terms, but our evolution as conscious beings. And the chilling message is clear while collective failure is imminent, individual ascension remains possible, hinging entirely on the choices we make in the next fleeting moments before the reef fully enacts its containment protocols. As the transmission unfolds further, the Harrower communicates in a way that transcends words entirely. Patterns of light, vibrations, and sequences of thought are presented directly into the minds of those sensitive enough to perceive them. These are not mere instructions. They are training modules for consciousness, designed to expand perception, dissolve egoic boundaries, and reveal the underlying structure of reality. Human observers report a sense of timelessness, as though minutes and hours collapse into a single infinite moment. They experience an awareness of the interconnectedness of all things. Stars, planets, life forms, thoughts, and even the void itself. The Harrower emphasizes the interconnectedness